Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, we're continuing our reading of St. Augustine's Confessions, and we are in the book IV, so book 6, and then on paragraph 11. There was something unique here that I think is very beneficial because it talks about the sins of the flesh, and helpful reminders of introspection can help us to reform our character, and I find this man to be a very unique Catholic, I must say, and I can see why his works have lasted for so long. So let's continue on this point. My soul, why do you face about and follow the lead of the flesh? Already right there. So don't let your flesh lead you. When you see people like John Zerka, a fake Christian, an occultist, pushing extreme hedonism and leading with that, you have to recognize that actual Catholics say, don't let the flesh lead you. So when you have people like Pearly Things, who's a fake Catholic, saying men can be whores and men can sleep around and it's not that big of a deal, compare that to what the wise ones of the Catholics actually preach. So don't take your wisdom from those online influencers, actually get it from your theologians. Turn forward and let it follow you. Whatever you feel through the senses of the flesh, you only feel in part. It delights you, but it is only a part, and you have no knowledge of the whole. But to punish you, this just limit has been fixed for the senses of your body. So a fixed limit for the senses of your body. And then, so getting these things in parts, and we don't have knowledge of the whole. Sensory experience is quite unique when you examine it. Numbing medications can make you lose your senses. It's really unique when someone has a hyperactive nervous system where everything hurts you. Certain sounds will hurt you on different days that won't, depending on if you're sick or not. Women feel more pain and are more sensitive to loud sounds and disturbing sounds when they're on their menses. So we know that our body does have an area of filtration of our senses. So we have to have our soul be rational and see that our flesh can lead us astray. And sexual immorality is one of those ways. And for men and women, we have to push ourselves to be better, to excel. But if this were not so, and they could comprehend the whole, you would wish that whatever exists in the present should pass on, so that you might gain greater pleasure from the whole. It is one of these same bodily senses that enables you to hear the words I speak. But you do not want the syllables to sound forever in my mouth. You want them to fly from my tongue and give place to others, so that you may hear the whole of what I have to say. It is always the same with the parts that together make a whole. They are not present at the same time, but if they can all be felt as one, together they give more pleasure than each single part. That's a very unique example, isn't it, when it comes to speech? What can we think of in our own lives where we have a piece of something and then later when we get to experience the whole of it, you're like, oh wow. It's like a culmination of thoughts, feelings, and emotions through the senses, filtration. But far better than these is he who made them all, our God. He does not pass away. So we have that as well in Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't die, because there is none to take his place. If the things of this world delight you, praise God for them, but turn your love away from them and give it to their Maker, so that in the things that please you, you may not displease him. So notice what he just said here. So that in the things that please you, you may not displease him. So if someone's pushing you to do sins that displease your Maker, just because it feels good, you better watch it. Better be careful, man. So, in Islam, there's also a saying that we may not, I'm summarizing it, the gist of it, that we may not like something, but it's good for us. Right? So it's usually using the example of your wife. You may not like something about your wife, but you may not like a thing, but you like her. So there's a part of her or behavior that you don't like, but in general, you like her. So don't let that one thing make you totally discard her, right? In the same vein, do not start gathering around yourself things that displease your maker, but only please you, because you want to please your maker. Very, very important to read the texts of these theologians if you want to also refute armchair innovators in different faiths, right? And he says here to turn away from the things of the world that delight you. So, again, materialism is not a way to be happy. It's not a sustainable way. You'll take your deeds with you and your experiences, and you'll be judged for them. If your delight is in souls, love them in God, because they too are frail, and stand firm only when they cling to Him. So you only stand, he's saying, you only stand firm when you love other souls in God. So for the sake of God. If they do not, they go their own way and are lost. So if you turn away from God, you're going your own way and you're lost. Someone's telling you to do something that doesn't give the blessing of your maker, you're going astray. Period. So sin leads you astray. Sin makes you become lost. So even if you have a trial by having a bad marriage, going through a divorce, you still obeyed to have intimacy within the marriage tie. Okay? Now, if you want to go around sleeping around and being a man whore or a female one because the world delights you, well, you are not doing what's right, are you? You're going astray. And every person who pushes you to do that is leading you astray, period. Love them then in Him and draw as many with you to Him as you can. So what does it say? Draw as many with you to Him as you can. So draw people to God. Don't push people away by encouraging them to sin and go astray. Very fascinating. Tell them He is the one we should love. So to love your maker. If you love your maker, you will obey your maker. You will try to do better. You'll repair your sins, but you're still trying. You don't give up so easily. He made the world, and He stays close to it. For when He made the world, He did not go away and leave it. That's a good point. He didn't just create the earth and then walk away from it. By Him it was created, and in Him it exists. Wherever we taste the truth, God is there. Now that is a fascinating phrase. Wherever we taste truth, God is there. So, where there's truth, there's God there. So, this to me sounds like He's saying, God is only truth. There's no lies in God. If you want to be closer to God, tell truths. I don't think this means, I think this is the more noble sense of truth. Like if someone says, do I look fat in this dress? And you're like, yes, you look like a horrible, fat, disgusting, blah, blah, blah. You're like, oh, I really like the colors. Like, you can be polite. Okay? Doesn't mean like, oh, don't shoot the messenger. It's like, no, sometimes it's inappropriate to say a blunt truth in a certain context. If you're at a funeral and people are saying, what they like about an individual, and you go and say all the things you hate, may be true, but it's not the format of the funeral, okay? See what I'm saying? I think if you're trying to figure out the truth of something, you gotta really dig into it. He is in our very inmost hearts, but our hearts have strayed from Him. Now, I don't think as Muslims we say Allah is in our heart. But, again, Christians are different. Because I remember Asim al-Hakim said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above his throne. That we're not supposed to say he's everywhere and in everything, because that's more paganistic. Think well on it, unbelieving hearts, and cling to him who made you. Stand with him and you shall not fall. So stand with him and you shall not fall. So for us, we put our trust in Allah, and we hold on to the rope of Allah with our molar teeth so we don't go astray and we stay on the straight path. Rest in him and peace shall be yours. What snags and pitfalls lie before you? Where do your steps lead you? Now that's an important question for people to ask. Where are your steps leading you? So when you see a comment by one of these red pill or right-wing Christians who are pushing the manosphere agenda, you need to say, where will these steps lead a person? Where will they lead? What's the scenario? It's very important to ask this stuff. The good things which you love are all from God, but they are good and sweet only as they are used to do his will. Aha! So to do God's will. So, if someone is pushing you to not get married and to commit fornication and to just be addicted to junkies doing lewd acts on a screen and you marrying your hand, let's put it that way, is that God's will for you? No. To be celibate because you were not able to find a partner to marry, a woman and all, to her husband to marry, is better because that's God's will, because you're not supposed to commit fornication and adultery. Period. So that may be a trial for you and it may be difficult, but you obey because that is the good and that is the sweetness of good. They will rightly turn bitter if God is spurned and all the things that comes from him are wrongly loved. Why do you still choose to travel by this hard and arduous path? There is no rest to be found where you seek it. In the land of death you try to find a happy life. In the land of death you try to find a happy life. So these men who are telling you, sleep around, get chicks, don't have kids, get a vasectomy, never get married, use drugs, sleep in hotels, party, show off, get money, and become an eventual drug addict. That's the land of death. It's not the land of life, because that life is a cursed life, and it's not approved. It's not doing God's will. You see? So you'll become bitter. It's an arduous path. It's not a healthy path to live. And the amount of money you drowned yourself in, and the amount of women you wrestle with in that way, is going to satisfy you. You're going to have troubles and trials no matter what. But you're going to have more troubles and trials if you live a life that God does not approve, is what he's getting at here. It is not there. How can life be happy where there is no life at all? Exactly. Beautifully said. See, this is why I find these older scholars very wise. Because they get at the human condition. They're not just going to tell you, yeah, you sleep around, why get married? Divorce is scary, so why even do it? It's a huge risk to have kids. Why even do it? No. Just pleasure, blah, blah, blah. No. It's not good. Not good at all. Let me know what you think, because I find this to be refreshingly healthy to examine. Very healthy to examine, because he's making sure you know that when your heart strays from him, you're not going to taste truth. And that where there's truth, there's God, he's arguing, right? You want peace? Peace will be yours if you rest in him. If you put your trust in him, put your hope in him, and you follow the steps that lead you to him, well, then you're going to have more of a healthy life. And you should love other souls in God. And understand they're frail. But you need to stand firm. You're not supposed to go your own way. Now, when you have a content creator like Pearly Thinks, who promotes MGTOW, men going their own way, walking away from marriage, walking away from family, and walking into brothels, chronic masturbation habits, porn addiction, that is not life. That is, as he put it, the land of death. Nothing is growing healthy from there. There's no courage and bravery. There's no challenge. It's easy dopamine. It's lazy pleasure. It's hard work to be able to interact with another mind. It's hard work to raise kids. But it's worth it all, and that's the contest of human life. Again, very beneficial to read the classics. Because when you see actual wise Christians and then you see who's preaching now and how they're actually heretical and blasphemous, it's easier to just blow away their magic like smoke. Be the fan that pushes their smoke out so people can see clearly. Right? Because you don't want any Muslims to fall victim to such a cultist twisting of religion, because how they twist Christianity will also be how they try to twist Islam. So, debunking falsehoods and being a boulder in the path that gets in the way of the mission of a corrupter is great. Very great. Let me know what you think, and if you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/MelonArchive. Hope to see you there.